Good morning, everyone, or good morning or afternoon, depending on where you are. Welcome to this webinar hosted by Pomerol Partners. Today's topic is our Writeback extension for Qlik. We've been working on this product for about 2 years now, but it's really in the last 6 months that this product has started to sort of take on a life of its own. And that's really been driven largely by our clients finding new use cases and also pushing us to develop the product to enable those use cases. We held a technical webinar on the extension going back a few months. This is available on demand, but like this session will also be available on demand, but today's session is going to be laser focused on use cases for the Writeback extension. Just before we kick off, I just want to say thanks to everyone for taking the time to attend the session. There's always a mix of things competing for our time. We've got a big crowd dialed in today, so we're going to move fast and we're going to fit in as much as we can into the 30-minute slot that we've got here. So quick intros so that you know who's talking to you. My name's Scott Duthie. I'm based in Denver in sunny Colorado, or not so sunny this morning. I'm a principal consultant here at Pomerol Partners. I've been with the firm for about 5 years now. I've spent a lot of time in the Qlik ecosystem as a developer, and I've been heavily involved in steering the development of this product, working really closely with our customer base to understand their use cases, and then helping our dev team turn that into a reality. For those of you who aren't familiar with Pomerol Partners, we're a business intelligence consultancy first and foremost. So we're heavily focused on helping companies optimize processes and then inevitably increase revenues and lower costs by using their data as a resource and sort of using their data to its true potential. We do this through a blend of best-in-class consultants and then the right technology for the job. We frequently use Qlik as a platform to deliver our solutions, and as an elite Qlik partner for many years now, we know and sort of understand that Qlik platform intimately. And I can also say, as of this morning, in fact, that Pomerol has been awarded the Trusted Extension Developer Badge by Qlik. It's been a very long road to get certified in this space. So a huge thanks to the Pomerol dev team who have made this happen. And what this really means is that our Writeback extension is officially certified by Qlik as being robust and stable and deployable into enterprise environments. So a couple of key objectives today. Firstly, I really want to get everyone thinking differently about what's possible in Qlik. So Qlik can be just a reporting tool if that's what you want it to be, but you should be aiming much higher than that. More than just a place to sort of present information and discover insights, we can use the Qlik ecosystem to run business processes, to incentivize and drive performance, to generate alerts, and most importantly, as a place to collaborate and actually get things done. And then secondly, I just want to cram in as many use cases as possible into the slot we've got this morning. And I want to get an idea in everyone's head around how they could be using data input into their Qlik apps to operationalize the platform. So let's get into it. So firstly, what is the extension? The Writeback extension is an extension for your Qlik environment. It allows users to input and capture data directly in their published Qlik apps. So we're turning Qlik from being a read-only platform to being bidirectional. So where traditionally you might need to update or edit your source data in an ERP or CRM system, or maybe in an Excel spreadsheet, or in a collaborative environment like SharePoint or Google Docs, with the Writeback extension, you can capture that data and input that directly into your Qlik app. We haven't built this tool as a sort of glossy addition to a Qlik app. It's not just a visualization extension. It's an extension that actually enables an entire workflow in your Qlik ecosystem. It enables you to use Qlik for a lot more than just reporting, and that's where the value is generated. So how does it work? We're going to look here just quickly at the traditional data flow into your Qlik platform from left to right. So On the left here, we've got a range of enterprise data sources. These can be, cloud, on-prem, anything that we can access using our Qlik data connections library. And these are generally extracted on a scheduled basis. So you may have some other ETL process external to Qlik, but either way, the Qlik engine is going to create some QVDs, and these are going to be ready for consumption by your reporting apps. Now, traditionally, this is where the road ends. The user's not going to see any more updated data until that scheduled refresh process runs again from left to right. And this is where the Writeback extension disrupts that traditional workflow. So in our reporting app, we have these two additional components on the left here. We have our blue icon here. This is the Writeback extension. And then we've also got a Node.js application, and these two pieces work in tandem. Now, users can edit a selection of records using the extension. The Node.js app then passes that data into SQL queries, and it's pushed to our SQL database. As soon as the data is committed to that database, a partial reload of your Qlik application is triggered, and then that edited data is pulled into memory and becomes instantly available for analysis. So the key thing to note here, and the key piece we're trying to communicate, is this write-back cycle. So while your traditional ETL flow is running on a fixed schedule, and that may run hourly or it might be daily, the write-back extension is enabling edits that update the data model in real time on demand. So instead of being fixed to a reporting schedule, we can leverage this for an operational process. So we've got 4 use cases we're going to move through really quickly today. The first one is around transaction matching. So we've got this sort of match and kill process for aligning pending Visa transactions with outstanding AR balances, where we've got 2 systems that can't talk to each other naturally. The second use case here is one around managing mapping tables directly in Qlik. So all Qlik environments that I've ever seen use some form of mapping tables. They might be housed in Excel. They're often sort of buried deep in Excel, prone to error or going stale. So I want to show you how we can manage some of those mapping tables directly in a Qlik app. The third use case is one around actually removing your Excel dependence. So we see many Qlik environments where we have multiple Excel files that are being consolidated and then feeding into a Qlik environment. And we're going to look at how we can actually remove Excel and just use a Qlik app and a SQL database in tandem. And then the fourth use case here is around budgeting and forecasting. So we want to look at how we can submit budgets and also do scenario modeling on our forecast and then bring those 2 pieces together. So let's jump into our demos. So the first use case we're going to look at here today is around transaction matching. So I just briefly introduced this. We've got this concept of pending credit card transactions, and these need to be matched to outstanding receivables. Now, this is a pretty typical environment where we've got 2 systems that don't naturally talk to each other. And this is one of the things we often see in Qlik, and a lot of work we do in the Qlik ETL engine is trying to get different systems to align. So what we can see here is we've got rows here of AR and pending payments. And on the left here, where these fields are green, we've actually used a fuzzy matching process that we've created in the Qlik script to try and match up these AR balances and these pending payments. So if I just jump down my list a little bit here and find one that's actually unmatched. So I've got our match finder here has created this ID number 304. So what it's done is it's found an AR balance and it's found a pending Visa payment. And it's suggesting to me that, hey, I think these are a match, even though our reference codes in our 2 systems are totally different. So I can see here they both have a balance of 76 and 16 cents, and they both have the same transaction date. So we're using Qlik here to actually create an alert or report on what might be the issue or what might need to be done. Instead of needing to jump out of here into another system to actually match these transactions, we can do this directly in Qlik. So down in the bottom right-hand corner here, I have a button that's going to open up my extension, and you can see that we can customize this button. So we can create a call to action. So here it's saying, hey, do you want to match transactions? So it's going to push those two lines, my AR balance and my pending payment. And what I can do here is I can actually just hit save straight away, and we've generated a matching ID, and we're going to use this to associate these two lines. Now, I can also give this a status, so I might want to say, right, I know these are a match, so these are approved. I could add some comments if I needed to, and I can just hit save here. So what's going to happen is this data is being pushed back to a SQL database. Our Qlik application has just uploaded in real time, and that data is now part of my data model, and I can move on to my next transaction that I need to match. So I haven't had to leave the Qlik ecosystem. It's only taken a couple of seconds to match these transactions, and I can move on. And I can see here that these are now matched. They were matched by Scott Duthie. I've got a timestamp here, and this is all being recorded in an audit log so that the full process is auditable. So I can move on to my next transaction. So we've created this fuzzy matching process to try and automatically match these transactions, but we might also have a scenario where our fuzzy matching process doesn't automatically match these transactions. So if I jump down the list here a bit, what I can see here is I've got these two rows here, number 87 and 2087. So our process hasn't been able to auto match these, but I can actually see based on the date and the amount of the transaction, we've actually got a 9-cent discrepancy here. Now, this might be satisfactory enough for me to go and match these transactions. So if I open this up, I can apply a status here. So in this case, I'm going to say, hey, there's actually a discrepancy. I'm going to say we've got a 9 cents variance. So I'm just going to add a comment there so that if anyone else comes and sees this in future, they've got this little narrative here to explain why these were matched and what happened. I'm saving that to my database again. It's pulled back into Qlik. We can see that updated, and then we can move on to our next transaction. So the key point around this use case here is not only can we report on an issue, but we can do something about it on the spot. So we've operationalized Qlik instead of just using Qlik as a reporting tool or a read-only tool. So the next use case I want to look at here, these are actually a few different use cases around this idea of mapping tables and fuzzy matching in Qlik. So I've got another fuzzy matching use case where we've got a CRM system, our columns in green here. We've got accounts in our CRM system, and then we've got our ERP system for transactions, and that's our orange columns over here. Now we've got customers in both of these systems, but these two systems have different ID codes, and often the account name in these two systems is written differently, and so we can't naturally associate this data. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab a line that's been, so these ones here that have an auto match and have a tick beside them, I'll just grab one of these as an example. So what we've got here is we've got a CRM account code. It's different to our SAP account code, but we've actually used the account name and we've created this fuzzy match. So, we've removed special characters, we've uppercased it, we've removed spaces, and we've tried to standardize that name so that we can associate this disparate data. It's detected an auto match, and I agree with this. So I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to say, yep, I confirm this auto match. I'm going to give it a tick. I'm going to hit save. It's going to store that to our system. And so from now on, when our reporting apps are loading data from our CRM and ERP system, they can now associate transactions for this account with opportunities for this account in our CRM system. So another really powerful example for mapping tables or managing mapping tables in Qlik. So this use case here, we've got this idea of having US state names. Now, what you'll often find is that you've got a CRM or ERP system, and over time, you've had dirty data entered into that system. So at the moment, this is what our state field looks like in our system. We've got CO, we've got Colorado, we've got Alabama written out. Sometimes it's in capitals, sometimes it's the ISO code. This is not very helpful for reporting. We need to standardize all of the information that relates to Arizona or Alabama, for example. We need to standardize that onto a single version of how that state name should be represented. And this is what we actually want it to look like. We want a nice, tidy list of states. So what I can do here is I can create a process that looks at my source data and it finds where I have bad data or I have data that's unmapped. So I'm just filtering on my mapped column here and I'm bringing my unmapped values to the top. So I can see I've got 2 values in here for North Carolina. So I can grab one of these as an example and I'm going to go and map this and give it a value give it a value to map North Carolina to. Now, down in my Writeback Extension button here, we can see we've created a call to action here. So it's seen that I've selected one of these and it's actually telling me you've got one state name to fix. So I've got that call to action, and instead of fixing this in an Excel mapping table, I can fix this on the spot. So it's North Carolina. Because we're trying to create nice, clean master data here, we've created a list of possible values. Where am I going? So there we go. North Carolina is what we're going to map it to. I could add some comments in here if I needed to, but I don't in this case. And I'm just going to hit save. And we've now mapped this source value North Carolina to NC. So what that means is wherever this sort of dirty data version pops up in our source data, we're gonna be able to clean that up and make it nice and clean for reporting. So this is a really common use case, and this could be for any standardized sort of geographic names. It could be product names, it could be company codes, anything in your source data. Another really common use case for mapping tables is sort of creating lists that exist in our Qlik reports. So what we've got here is we've got a list of currency pairs, and we might want to use this list of currency pairs so that when the user selects a particular pair, it shows a certain visualization, or we might want them to pick a currency that they want their values displayed in, something like that. So normally we could maintain this list hard-coded in the script itself, or we could maintain that list in an Excel file. But what we can also do is we can maintain that list just directly in a Qlik app. So if I choose a few of these currency pairs, the first thing I could do is I can actually go and create some other attributes. So for example, we might want to give these a status of, what category do these different currency pairs fall into? So we can give them a status, and this status that I give them might then go and drive our reporting. So I might have a report that only shows transactions against our gold currency pairs. So I can start to control my reporting and the user experience by updating a mapping table like this. So I can hit save. We're going to store this information back to a database. Qlik's going to load this information in, and now we can start using that information to drive our reporting or drive the user experience. So moving on really quickly here. So we've walked through our first 2 main use cases, transaction matching and fuzzy matching. We've looked at some mapping table maintenance types of things. The next one I want to look at here is, this is a use case that a customer of ours had. And what they were doing here is this is from a retail bank, and they were tracking the launch campaigns for different products across multiple geographies globally. So traditionally, campaigns were being tracked at the local level in Excel. So local level documents, so these might be held or created for Colorado, for example, and then we might be rolling these up to North America, and then we're rolling all of the regional documents up to a global level. Now, this process is incredibly cumbersome, it's prone to error, and it was actually taking the client over a month from the initial data capture in Colorado, for example, to get that into their global marketing campaign dashboard. So you can imagine the impact of that delay, taking a month to get that data up to their Qlik application that was showing them on a global level what was happening with their marketing campaigns. So what we've done is we've removed all of the Excel, and we're effectively just using a single Qlik app and then a SQL table to store that data to. So we no longer have that layer of disparate Excel files that are driving this view. So what we can do is we can come in here. I've got another call to action on my Writeback extension here, and it's saying you need to select one campaign if you want to update the KPIs for that campaign. So I might be the campaign manager for Hanworth, for example. So I can come in and filter on this particular campaign, and it's actually the campaign that we're running at this particular retail banking site. Now I can see the different KPIs that we're measuring against this campaign. We're capturing things like when the store or the retail location was last visited, and we're also capturing some comments. So someone had made a comment saying we need to visit this site again this week. So here I can come and actually update this campaign. So I can pop open my Writeback extension, and I can come in here and actually start making some updates to my KPIs. So maybe our scorecard percentage is increased to 99. Our attach rate might have increased to 35. Maybe we've now trained 6 staff at this retail location. Now, we can also update the date. So when did we last visit this? So we're in 2020, so maybe it was the 31st of March, for example. And then we can also go and add a comment to this. So, maybe we can say, visit complete or visit successful. Great. So we can assign a status for this campaign. So I'm just going to say it's on track and it's been flagged as a gold campaign. So maybe this puts it into a special category, or we're monitoring these campaigns differently. Now I can hit save. Same workflow here. We're storing that edited data back to our SQL database. Our Qlik app has reloaded in real time, and I can now see my updated values for this marketing campaign. But what this also means is that the manager who maybe manages my region, they are also looking at the same app, and they can also see this data updated in real time. So they no longer have this weight of consolidating Excel files or sort of validating those Excel files. The information is available for them instantly, and we can also kick off a workflow. So maybe as a local campaign manager, I update my KPIs. This might trigger a campaign manager who needs to come in, maybe approve or reject the edits that I've added. So we can create a real-time workflow of different users in the organization, because they can all collaborate live in their applications. The other piece we can do here is we can start to monitor the actual history and track all of the history against these campaigns. So we can go and make a few edits to this campaign 2088. So maybe, we can update our scorecard here to 80, for example, and I'm just going to hit save. So that data has been committed back to our database. Now we can go and have a look at our history log, and we can see all of the edits that have been made against this particular campaign. So we can see how our different KPIs have changed over time. We can use this data like we would any other data source in Qlik. So we can plot this on a chart, for example. We can see who made the edits, when they made them, and what the edits were. So it's really great for having that audit log, and this is really useful for tracking some kind of negotiation process. Great, so 4th use case, and I know I'm moving very fast here. The last use case is around updating things like budgets and forecasts live in your Qlik applications. So it's very common with budgets and forecasts. It's very common that these are a very sort of iterative process where we submit a budget, someone takes a look at that budget, they come back with comments, maybe we make a few more adjustments. And often that process can be quite cumbersome, because we're entering those budget values into a tool like Excel or TM1 or something, and then we're visualizing those in Qlik, and then we're going back to the other system. So the idea here is, why don't we just use Qlik to actually enter and simulate and capture these values on the spot? So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to filter down to our central region, And we might want to go and update some budget values. So just say for May and June, we're seeing a change in the business. We're going to up our budget for May and June to 50,000. And we can see in our bar chart down here, we're at 280 and 240 for May and June. So I'm going to pop open the Writeback extension, and then we're going to flick the extension into our bulk edit mode. And what that means is we can apply an edit to the whole column of May and June in one go. So I'm going to apply 50,000 to all of May, and then we're going to do the same thing in June. So another thing I can do is I can also label this budget version that I've created. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to steal that last comment to give me a quick start. I'm going to jump up here and create a budget label. So this is May and June, and I'm just going to say I made this edit on the 30th, and I'm going to apply that label to all of these edits that I'm making. And I'm just going to hit save. So we're storing those budget values back to our database. We're bringing them back into Qlik. And now we can start analyzing that new budget version that was created. I saw my values for May and June pick up straight away. And now, yeah, we have that latest budget. So maybe I've submitted that for the central region. Maybe the manager for the central region can now go and review that budget that's been submitted. The other great thing we can do here is because we're labeling these versions that we're submitting, we can go and actually filter on a previous budget version, and we can go and have a look at that specific version that was submitted and start to compare these different versions. So the next piece we can do here, we've set a budget. Now we might want to actually go and do some scenario modeling around our opportunities. So these are our sales opportunities. So I can see here we're looking at, we can look at our sort of trend of our different open opportunities, and I can see I've got a big spike in May, but what I'm really interested in is the weighted revenue, because this is telling me the size of our opportunities and the likelihood that they're actually going to land. So I've got all of my opportunity detail down the bottom here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and select one of these opportunities here. I'm going to grab this one here from an account called TwitterWire. So I've filtered down to this opportunity, and I've got a call to action here. Do you want to update this sales opportunity? So instead of jumping across to my CRM system to simulate this, I can just simulate this directly in Qlik. Now maybe we're going to offer this customer a discount, so that our labor revenue here is going to go down to 150,000, and our materials are going to go down to 140. But our COGS are going to stay the same because we're just offering a discount. So we could also change this. So this is moving forward to negotiation, and maybe our probability for this is actually increased. We're actually in the negotiation phase here. So I can go and hit save. And what we're going to see here is our data is written back to our database. It's pulled back into Qlik, and we can instantly see the impact this one opportunity changing has on our bigger picture. So if I remove my filter for that opportunity, I can now see how my weighted revenue has changed for my central region based on the size of that opportunity and the probability that it's going to land. So we've submitted and updated our budgets. We can come in here and do some scenario modeling around opportunities. The last piece here is we can now bring those two things together, and we can start to look at our budget versus our scenario modeled opportunities. And this has never been more prevalent than right now. A lot of our customers are seeing their sales forecasts disrupted by the current coronavirus situation. So what we're allowing people to do is actually come and model, well, with our updated opportunities or what we think is going to happen, what impact is that going to have in terms of our forecast versus our budget? So we're starting to call out the variances here, and we can see in March and April, we have a huge variance here between our forecast and our budget. So we can actually say, okay, well, we've got an issue we can see coming up in March and April. Let's jump back across to our opportunity pipeline, and let's take a look at our opportunities for March and April, and let's see, is there anything in here that we can try and push forward or accelerate to try and fix this big variance we see coming for March and April. So that there is a very quick run through 4 different use cases. We've really only covered those 4 in deep. Some other great use cases. We've got customers who have production line management sort of on the factory floor, and they're using the Writeback extension to capture things like fallout and incidents, adding commentary to financial transactions, especially sort of OPEX transactions where finance is saying, hey, we need some more explanation for what this transaction was. Really big use case is just flagging data quality issues. So letting the users of apps themselves actually flag a data point and say, hey, I think this is incorrect. We need to look at this. We can then create a sort of light master data management solution just using Qlik and the Writeback extension itself. Getting things like the feedback on a design process. So we might be designing anything, we're visualizing the output of that design process in Qlik, and we're getting our users to submit their feedback or rate those designs directly in Qlik using the extension. We can even set up sort of a questionnaire or a survey within Qlik apps and get users to actually enter their feedback directly in Qlik, and it could be about the Qlik app themselves, or it could be something like an employee survey. We've also got customers using this for managing their section access. So that was a very quick run through of use cases. Last thing to mention here, we've got 4 short videos available online on the Pomerol YouTube channel and also at writeback.pomerolpartners.com. We've got 4 short videos that cover those 4 main use cases we looked at today. Another great place to stay updated on new developments and new use cases is by following the Pomerol LinkedIn account. We post updates there every week, so it's a great place to keep updated on what's going on just by following Pomerol on LinkedIn. Another big thanks to everyone for joining the call today. As mentioned earlier, please feel free to reach out to me directly with any questions or head to the Pomerol Partners website to request a demo. We can start looking at some of your use cases in deep. Thanks for your time. Bye for now.